Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today we are going to be talking about the 2025 NBA offseason, which is currently underway for the Atlanta Hawks. Not for the entire league, as we are about to conclude the conference finals, but for the Hawks, it's underway, and this is a pivotal turning point for the team going forward and looking at the future outlook of the organization. After another season that ended without a playoff series, all eyes are on the front office to make strategic moves and I guess reshape the roster in meaningful ways without doing too much, because we have a core that we like and want to keep together for as long as we can. So today's video is going to be all about the second unit. The bench has become the number one offseason priority for Atlanta. This is something I'm going to be pushing for the next several months as we get into next season. Because it was just a glaring weakness all last year. If this team wants to compete in the Eastern Conference next season, the bench needs, I guess, a little bit of an overhaul, if you will. And we're going to break down exactly why that is, who's worth keeping long term, and who the Hawks could target to elevate their depth to elite playoff levels. We're going to go over the current roster status, some trade possibilities, potential free agent signings, and my personal take on a few must-keep players. So stick with me throughout this video for the full breakdown, and once again, don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay plugged in all summer long. So without further ado, let's start with the obvious. Atlanta's second unit was a major weakness in the 2024-25 NBA season. Anytime a starter went down, especially after Jalen Johnson's season-ending injury after he only played 36 games, the lack of bench depth was fully exposed. It was fully exposed. Now, before I even really get into that too much, I do want to give credit to Mohamed Gay. He was put in a situation that was unfair to him, and he stepped up admirably in Johnson's absence. And he really showed flashes of potential and could be a rotation piece moving forward. However, right now, his contributions, while they were solid, obviously weren't enough to carry a team that was, trying to be in the playoff mix, even though, their eyes may have been set a little too high after Jalen's injury. But look around the league right now. Every remaining team in the playoffs, obviously except for the Knicks, who have made this unprecedented run to the conference finals, even though I had them losing in the first round due to their lack of depth. But the other three have one thing in common: elite, versatile bench units, whether it's Minnesota, OKC, or Indiana. Depth wins games in May and June, and that has been prevalent for as long as the NBA has been around. So for the Hawks, the most urgent need is front court depth. While Clint Capella is likely on his way out in unrestricted free agency this offseason, and Onyeka Okongwu is still, getting used to these starter-level minutes in these big stretches, Atlanta must find reliable bigs and forwards who can not only fill in off the bench, but also step into a starting role when needed, because you can never guess when an important player in the rotation is going to go down for a long period of time. And if you want to compete, you got to be ready for that type of situation. And Atlanta wasn't this past season. We're talking about modern bigs, guys who can rebound, protect the rim, and stretch the floor. Without that insurance policy, we are one injury away from, I guess, mediocrity again. On top of that, a backup point guard should also be on the radar. Karis LeVert did a commendable job handling the second unit post-trade deadline. However, he is obviously more of a combo guard. He's more of a two, really, than a floor general. We need a veteran presence who can orchestrate the offense when Trae Young is on the bench. Someone who can truly control the tempo and, kind of make it a seamless fit when Trae goes to the bench and the offense is still operating at that high level. Someone who can, make reads and lead that unit with poise. So before we talk about some of the potential additions, let's talk about retention. There's one name that the Hawks absolutely need to keep on their roster, in my opinion, and that's Vit Krejci. Vit might have flown under the radar nationally, and I mean for obvious reasons. Who's going to talk about a bench player in Atlanta? But here he is becoming a fan favorite, and he has for years. He's also a locker room favorite. And the thing about Vit is his archetype is extremely valuable in today's NBA. I mean, he's a tall, connective wing who can shoot the lights out, and he can defend multiple positions. While he's still learning and he's still young, Vit has become a very important rotation piece, and he's someone who I want to see on the Hawks moving forward. Last season was, I guess, Krejci's first season with real rotation minutes, and he made the most of it. He averaged 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 50% from the floor and an absolutely insane 44% from beyond the arc. And it's not like he was doing this on super little volume. He was shooting almost 4 threes a game on real rotation minutes. I mean, that's not just good. That is elite spacing from a role player. And that's something that is way too valuable to give up on. So when we talk about reshaping the bench, I want it to be clear that Vit Krejci needs to be a part of that. I want him in the rotation going forward. And that might be, I guess, a little bit of a hot take because, I mean, some people get frustrated with Vit. I mean, he has mental lapses sometimes. But I truly believe he is a super important piece for Atlanta moving forward. I mean, he plays within the system. He makes the right reads with his super underrated vision. He rarely forces any type of bad shot. And he's also a great teammate with a strong work ethic. And perhaps best of all, he is on an absolutely incredible contract. Krejci is locked in for 3 more seasons on a more than team-friendly deal, making him an absolutely smart piece to build around on the margins. So the next step is simple. Increase his shot volume. Give him more reps. With more confidence and opportunity, Krejci could become a true piece on a championship team. I believe in Vit so much, more than the average person. I bought his jersey just because of how much I love his game, and I really believe in him going forward. So now, without further ado, let's look at some potential trade targets and someone who could become a game changer off the bench. Cameron Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets. So reports are now swirling that Brooklyn is looking for a second lottery pick, to add on to the one they already have. And Atlanta, who's holding the 13th overall pick, might be in the perfect position to make a move. Cam Johnson is coming off of a career year where he averaged 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a super high volume 3-point shooter. He averaged over 7 attempts last season from 3, and he's got a team-friendly contract, only making like $20 million or so for the next 2 seasons. While he's a starter, he has experience coming off the bench and would be probably be willing to accept a role as that 6th man here in Atlanta if we were to make a deal for him. That's the kind of flexibility Atlanta needs. I mean, it's the harsh truth, but we got to have those guys who could immediately start if Jalen Johnson were to go down again, which is a real possibility. So here's what a potential deal could look like. And this is mocked up by me. If the Hawks were to offer, this is something I think it would probably look like, matching salary and everything. So the deal that I've proposed is the Hawks would receive Cam Johnson and pick 27 this year from the Brooklyn Nets. And the Nets would receive Terrence Mann's $15 million contract, Kobe Buffkin, pick 13 this year, and 2 future second-round picks. I believe that's pretty even for both teams. I mean, Hawks would be, I guess, giving up on Kobe Buffkin, which is a bit of a bummer. And then, obviously, Terrence Mann would be going to Brooklyn, where he would probably be waived in his $15 million. And then the Hawks would still retain a first-round pick in this draft. It would just be much later instead of having that. So they would have 22 and 27, but then they would have probably the best bench player in the entire NBA. So this trade gives the Hawks a win-now contributor and retains a first-round pick in a deep draft. Don't get me wrong. It's pick 27, so it's not anything crazy, but I mean, this is a super deep draft. Johnson gives you shooting, he gives you length, experience, leadership, exactly what Atlanta needs to fortify that second unit. So now let's pivot to the backup point guard discussion. One name that might surprise you, Chris Paul. Yes, CP3 is 40 years old. But he's still an elite passer, and he is a true game manager. After spending a year mentoring Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio, Paul is actually an unrestricted free agent, and he's reportedly open to taking on a backup role once again, where he fell into the second unit for San Antonio after beginning the season starting, but with the emergence of Stephon Castle and them trading for De'Aaron Fox, he fell into that bench role in that rotation, and that's probably what he is going forward. So I mean, think about this. The Hawks could go from Trae Young running the starting lineup to Chris Paul controlling the second unit. I mean, that's seamless continuity in playmaking, tempo, and pure offensive structure. Paul could also be the perfect mentor for Trae, especially in a year for the franchise, which is pretty much make or break. I mean, if let's say Trey decides to not do his extension this offseason, and then going into next season, he is going to be a free agent after that season. This is a make or break year for the Hawks and Trey Young. So, I mean, getting a vet like this, he would immediately become the best backup point guard we've ever had in the Trey era. And he wouldn't command a big salary either. Likely a 1 year, I wouldn't say vet minimum, but it would be pretty cheap. We'd use some of the mid-level exception on him. And here's the kicker. Just yesterday, Trey Young actually posted a photo of himself and Paul watching an AAU tournament together. And I don't know, it seemed a little timely. I mean, this came out right after the Chris Paul report that he would likely not be returning to San Antonio due to them getting the number 2 pick. Now, don't get me wrong, you can't read too much into social media. I've fallen for this trap before, but you can't ignore that timing either. There's a fine line between the two. So adding CP3 would bring leadership, structure, and a absolute proven winner's mindset to a young Hawks locker room who really needs that. They really need that. So if the opportunity is there, I'd say it's a no-brainer, and I think it'd be a home run signing for the Atlanta Hawks. So there you guys have it. Atlanta's roadmap to building a top-tier bench, from keeping Vit Krejci to potentially trading for Cam Johnson, to adding that future Hall of Famer like Chris Paul. This offseason presents some major opportunities. The Hawks are not far off, but if they want to take that next step and return to contention in the East, it all starts off with depth. So thank you for watching Hawks Latest. I'm Zach Langley, a.k.a. Langley ATL. Be sure to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more in-depth game coverage all season long. Until next time, stay locked in and go Hawks.